Imagine you are merging onto the interstate, your engine pulling steady, dragging a heavy payload up a punishing, miles-long grade. Everything feels perfectly fine. The cabin is quiet, the digital gauges read normal, and you are trusting the machinery underneath you. Suddenly, you catch a faint, acrid stench bleeding through the air conditioning vents. It smells distinctly like hot metal and burnt hair. A split second later, the RPM needle violently spikes toward the red line. The floorboards vibrate with a sickening, rhythmic thud, and your truck abruptly slams into limp mode. You are forced to coast to the gravel shoulder, staring helplessly at a dashboard lit up with catastrophic transmission fault codes. When the heavy-duty tow truck finally drops your rig at the dealership service bay, the service writer casually hands you a repair estimate that rivals a down payment on a house. Why did this happen? Because the hydraulic blood inside your transmission sheared down into a gritty, black abrasive, and absolutely nobody warned you to change it. They swore to you, in writing, that it was a lifetime fluid. But here is the real mechanical crime. That catastrophic failure was a mathematical certainty, calculated the very moment you drove off the showroom floor. You are dealing with a heavily guarded, highly profitable illusion. We need to forensically tear apart the thermal sludge avalanche chewing up your gears, the dealership service denial deliberately designed to blind you to the damage, and the 60,000-mile purge mandate that is heavily whispered in the back bays but aggressively erased from your owner's manual. It all circles back to a calculated engineering philosophy I call the Sealed-Unit Ransom. The engineering flaw is fundamentally simple. When you walk into a brightly lit dealership, the salesman points to the digital dash and pitches you on the absolute zero-maintenance luxury of modern driving. No messy fluid intervals to track, no dipsticks to check in the cold, just pure, uninterrupted convenience for the life of the vehicle. But look directly at the physical reality spinning violently underneath your seat. Inside that heavy aluminum casing are dozens of tightly packed clutch drums, each lined with a fibrous friction material very similar to the brake pads on your wheels. Every single time your vehicle shifts gears, those clutches slam together under immense pressure, slip for a brutal microsecond to smooth the shift, and inevitably shed microscopic layers of themselves. That shedding material has to go somewhere. It does not magically evaporate into the ether. It floats directly into the fluid bath. Over years of daily driving, that pristine, translucent red oil morphs into a thick, abrasive gray sludge. You are no longer lubricating the intricate rotating assembly. You are actively sandblasting it with a liquid grinding wheel. Watch the dominoes fall inside that case. The suspended clutch fibers turn the fluid into a dense, heavy paste. That paste chokes the fine mesh of the internal filter, starving the hydraulic pump. Because the pump is starving, the clutches begin to drag. You will hear a high-pitched, metallic whine creeping up through the center console when you accelerate, followed by a heavy, jarring clunk when the transmission violently downshifts to a stop. The wallet consequence lands squarely in the high hundreds just to drop the pan, replace the clogged filter, and attempt a desperate rescue drain, assuming the internal hard parts aren't already chewed down to bare steel. Any guy spinning wrenches for a living will tell you there is no fluid on Earth that outlasts the metal it lubricates. Now look at the underlying physics. The showroom seduction doubles down by wrapping the entire undercarriage in sleek, aerodynamic plastic shielding. They seal the transmission tight, deliberately omitting the traditional dipstick tube so you cannot monitor the thermodynamic nightmare happening inside the casing. The hidden choke point here is pure, unadulterated heat. Transmission fluid relies on a very specific, carefully engineered chemical shear stability to maintain its viscosity and protect the gears. When you are towing heavy trailers, fighting through relentless gridlock, or pushing the vehicle up a steep mountain pass, the internal fluid temperatures skyrocket well past 250 degrees. At those extreme, punishing temperatures, the synthetic fluid literally boils off its protective chemical additives. The oil rapidly breaks down, losing its crucial ability to grip the friction clutches. Because the fluid thins out to the consistency of water, internal hydraulic pressure plummets. The clutches lack the necessary clamping force to hold the gear, so they slip under load. That slipping friction creates an exponential heat spike, scorching the internal steel separator plates pitch black and permanently warping them out of shape. If you were to pry off the hidden fill plug and pull a fluid sample yourself, you would instantly smell an eye-watering, rotten egg stench of burnt synthetics. It reeks of melting circuit boards and decaying organic matter. Do you really think a chemical bath of sheer friction and extreme heat defies the laws of thermodynamics just because a marketing brochure says so? You are staring down the barrel of thousands of dollars to completely rebuild a shattered gear train because a $90 fluid swap was intentionally hidden from you. Walk into any independent transmission shop and you will see mountains of these sealed units piled out by the dumpster, rotting away for the exact same reason. This is where the math hits your wallet. We plunge into the most sensitive, easily destroyed component of the entire drivetrain, the complex valve body. The manufacturer sells you this brilliantly engineered, lightning-fast shifting computer, swearing the internal environment is sterile enough to remain untouched forever. The choke point is the intricate grid of delicate, plastic-encased electromagnetic solenoids bolted to the very bottom of the transmission, fully submerged in a swirling swamp of degrading, metallic fluid. As the gears relentlessly grind themselves down over the miles, thousands of microscopic steel shavings bypass the saturated internal filter. They pack tightly into the hair-thin, maze-like fluid galleys of the aluminum valve body. A solenoid attempts to trigger a simple downshift, but the internal piston violently jams on a jagged, microscopic shard of hardened steel. You throw the shifter into reverse in your driveway and feel a sickening, hollow metallic crunch, followed immediately by a blinking gear indicator and a total loss of motive power. They aren't designing a maintenance-free vehicle. They are designing a ticking financial time bomb with your name on the deed. The required repair for this specific failure is never a simple, cheap solenoid swap. It demands purchasing a proprietary, VIN-locked mechatronic assembly directly from the dealer network and paying for specialized software programming, a predatory maneuver that extracts mid-thousands from your checking account without a hint of remorse. This brings us to the ultimate dealership shakedown. The Sealed-Unit Ransom rears its head again, proving the entire architecture is built to maximize post-warranty revenue. Here is how the corporate trap springs shut. First, they completely eliminate the dipstick from the engine bay, so you cannot physically inspect the fluid color or smell the burning clutches yourself. Second, they block easy access to the drain plug by routing exhaust pipes or structural crossmembers directly beneath it, turning a basic preventative fluid swap into an agonizing, specialized teardown. Third, they permanently stamp lifetime fill across the pages of your owner's manual to guarantee the original fluid stays in the case just long enough to safely outlive the factory powertrain warranty. Fourth, when the internal friction plates finally shatter into a million pieces at 90,000 miles, they refuse to sell you the individual repair components and instantly quote you a full, crated transmission assembly at maximum retail markup. Ask any veteran technician who rebuilds these. They will tell you to fight back against this engineered failure by adopting a brutal, analog maintenance routine. Ignore the manual's lifetime claim entirely. Find the hidden fill plug yourself. Demand a pan drop every 60,000 miles. Change the internal filter, no exceptions. Never machine flush a neglected high-mileage unit. Gravity drain and fill only.